Good evening and welcome to a jam-packed, comprehensive special edition of our premier sports analysis broadcast, where we dig deeper into the headlines that matter most. We are delivering breaking updates that have sent shockwaves through the tennis community, highlighting a narrative that perfectly spans the divide between the established aristocracy of the court and the explosive, undeniable ascent of a generational prodigy. For those of you who have been religiously tracking the Women's Tennis Association Tour, you are well aware that the Middle East swing represents one of the most physically demanding, prestigious, and high-pressure stretches on the entire global tennis calendar. The Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, a cornerstone WTA 1000 event, has just wrapped up its festivities, leaving in its wake a series of storylines that analysts and fans alike will be dissecting for many years down the road. Standing right at the epicenter of this massive media hurricane are two phenomenal athletes who find themselves at vastly different chapters of their respective professional journeys. We are talking about the newly crowned ruler of the Dubai Open, the American powerhouse, Jessica Pegula, and the trailblazing 19-year-old sensation from the Philippines, Alexandra Eala. The headline that is currently trending and spreading like wildfire across every single major social media platform at this very moment is specifically focused on this dynamic. Alexandria has managed to completely catch the Dubai Open champion off guard, creating a buzz that transcends the scoreboards, and Jessica Pegula has officially gone on the record to express her profound interest and genuine awe regarding Alex's unprecedented level of fame, her massive loyal fan base, and the incredible maturity she displays both on and off the court. To truly grasp the sheer magnitude of what has just unfolded in the United Arab Emirates, we need to zoom out and examine the massive scale of this developing narrative. Because this is not merely a story about a tennis match. This is a compelling saga about a massive cultural phenomenon colliding head-on with the highest, most exclusive echelons of professional sports. Jessica Pegula, currently ranked number 5 in the world, just secured the 4th WTA 1000 title of her illustrious and steady career by dismantling her opponent in a brilliant clinical straight sets victory. Pegula successfully navigated a fiercely competitive draw, surviving the unforgiving intensity of the desert heat, the tricky evening winds, and a roster stacked with some of the most elite players walking the planet today. And yet, when the American champion took her seat for the post-tournament press conference clutching the winner's trophy, the conversation inevitably and powerfully pivoted toward a player who did not even compete in the final round. The spotlight shifted directly toward Alexandra Eala, with Pegula going on the record to offer the ultimate praise to the young Filipina star, stating unequivocally that Alex is quote-unquote absolutely amazing. However, it is crucial to note that Pegula did not simply compliment Eala's blistering left-handed forehand or her exceptional ability to cover the court defensively. The Dubai champion zeroed in specifically on the sheer magnitude of Eala's stardom, the roaring stadiums packed with Filipino supporters that seem to follow her to every corner of the globe, and how a mere teenager manages to handle this suffocating pressure with such profound grace and poise. Pegula even shared a remarkable anecdote, noting that you could literally hear the thunderous roar of Eala's fans all the way from the player hotels late at night. This serves as a powerful testament to a passionate, ingrained fan culture that the traditional, often quiet tennis establishment has rarely, if ever, witnessed in its long history. Furthermore, Pegula openly floated the exciting prospect of hosting the Filipina superstar as the next featured guest on her popular podcast, a move that signals a deep, genuine curiosity and interest in understanding the mindset of a teenager who carries the heavy athletic hopes and dreams of over 100 million people squarely on her shoulders. This viral moment is currently serving as a massive hook for the entire global sporting community because it perfectly encapsulates a changing of the guard, or perhaps more accurately, a massive expansion of the tennis map. Historically speaking, the sport of tennis has been overwhelmingly dominated by European and North American storylines, creating a specific center of gravity for the game. But what Alexandra Eala is achieving right now is single-handedly rewriting the geographical and demographic boundaries of tennis fandom, bringing a completely new energy to the tour. We are discussing a young woman who just 1 year ago at the 2025 Miami Open sent absolute shockwaves through the industry by defeating multiple Grand Slam champions, including the reigning world number 2, Iga Swiatek, thereby becoming the lowest-ranked semifinalist in the entire history of that prestigious tournament. Now moving forward into 2026, Eala has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that her Cinderella run was absolutely no fluke. She stormed her way decisively into the quarterfinals of the Dubai Open, ultimately falling to Coco Gauff, but not before leaving an indelible permanent mark on the tournament and impressing the defending champion Jessica Pegula. The fact that a seasoned veteran and tournament winner is so openly captivated by the aura, the immense crowd-pulling power, and the psychological composure of a rising star from Southeast Asia tells us that Eala is no longer just a promising prospect. She has officially transformed into a bona fide tour-altering attraction that demands attention whenever she steps onto the baseline. We are going to break down every single angle of this viral news, ranging from the tactical evolution of both players to the significant economic and cultural impact of Eala's devoted fanbase, and specifically what Jessica Pegula's glowing endorsement means for the future trajectory of the WTA Tour. Let us now transition into a deep dive analysis of the cascading series of events that have led us to this remarkable transformative moment in professional tennis. To fully appreciate the weight and significance of Jessica Pegula's viral comments regarding Alexandra Eala's fame, we must first rewind the clock and examine the shared history and battles between these two athletes. The true foundation of their mutual respect was forged in the absolute competitive crucible of the 2025 Miami Open. That was a tournament that will forever be etched in the annals of Philippine sports history as a defining moment of arrival on the world stage. Entering Miami last year, Alexandra Eala was ranked 140th in the world, playing on a wildcard entry, and what unfolded over those 2 weeks was nothing short of a cinematic masterpiece. Eala meticulously dismantled tennis royalty one by one, taking out the former French Open champion, Jelena Ostapenko, overpowering the reigning Australian Open finalist Madison Keys, and executing one of the most stunning upsets of the decade by sweeping Swiatek in straight sets. That miraculous, defiance-filled run culminated in a high-stakes semi-final clash against none other than Jessica Pegula herself. That match was not just a game, it was an absolute war of attrition that tested the physical and mental limits of both competitors. For 2 hours and 26 minutes, a wildly pro-Eala crowd at the Hard Rock Stadium watched in awe as a teenager surged to an early lead, breaking the serve of the veteran American multiple times. Eala played with her thigh heavily strapped and later rolled her ankle, pushing through pain to the point where she described herself as being taped up like a mummy. Yet she still pushed the world number 4 to the absolute brink of defeat. Eala won the second set, forcing a dramatic deciding set before Pegula's vast veteran experience finally allowed her to weather the storm, securing a hard-fought 7-6, 5-7, 6-3 victory. Pegula candidly admitted that she was completely drained, emphasizing that Eala is a phenomenal talent who attacks the ball aggressively and takes time away from her opponents with incredible speed. Jessica Pegula knew the truth firsthand, referencing the sweat-soaked reality and the immense physical exhaustion she endured during that Miami night, proving that Alex Eala was far more than just a hype train generated by the media. She was a dangerous competitor, possessing a lethal left-handed arsenal. Fast forward the timeline to the heat of the 2026 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. Both competitors touched down in the Middle East, carrying very specific yet distinct objectives for their respective seasons. Jessica Pegula, on a mission to reassert her authority at the prestigious WTA 1000 level and hunt down a 4th career title in this tier, delivered an absolute clinic throughout the tournament week. She unleashed her signature flat laser-like ground strokes, expertly managing the tricky desert night conditions to dismantle elite rivals, eventually putting on a masterclass to defeat Elina Svitolina and hoist the championship trophy. On the other side of the draw, Alexandra Eala, who has firmly established herself as a genuine threat and is currently sitting at a career-high ranking just on the cusp of breaking into the top 40, demonstrated remarkable stability in her game. She fought her way deep into the quarterfinals in Dubai, drawing crowds that packed the Aviation Club Tennis Center to absolute capacity, with fans squeezing into every available inch of the stands. And this is where the heart of our viral story begins to beat. Every single time Alexandra Eala walked out onto the court in Dubai, the vibe shifted instantly from a polite, hushed tennis gathering into the raucous energy of an international World Cup football match. The stadium was awash in a sea of waving Filipino flags, accompanied by deafening chants and an electric buzz that swallowed the venue whole, a phenomenon that grabbed the attention of every single player on tour. Coco Gauff, who eventually ended Eala's run in the quarterfinal stage, made a point during her on-court, post-match interview to specifically thank Eala for attracting an entirely fresh demographic to tennis, heaping praise on the infectious enthusiasm of the crowd. However, it was Jessica Pegula, the ultimate champion of the week, who provided the most insightful commentary during her winner's press conference. When reporters asked about the rising teenage star, Pegula avoided the standard media-trained cliches about a solid forehand or a tricky serve. Instead, she offered a highly intelligent, almost sociological, deep dive into the massive cultural impact Alexandra Eala is having on the global tennis landscape. Pegula flashed back to their grueling match in Miami, recalling her total confusion at the time when she realized that the spectators in her own home nation were actively cheering against her to support the Filipino prodigy. Pegula recounted the memory, saying, "I was standing there thinking, what in the world is happening right now? Where did all these energetic fans suddenly appear from?" This candid, unfiltered reflection from Pegula underscores the precise moment the tennis establishment recognized the tectonic shift occurring in global sports fandom. Pegula continued to marvel at Eala's relentless consistency, pointing out that week in and week out, regardless of the location, whether it is the packed outer courts at the Australian Open or the center stage in Dubai, the Filipino diaspora mobilizes in staggering, unprecedented numbers. Pegula painted a vivid picture of hearing the thunderous roar of the fans, all the way from her hotel room at night, a sonic testament to Eala's growing star power. Yet the most compelling part of Pegula's analysis, and the reason this interview is trending across social media, is her observation regarding Eala's personal character. Instant fame, particularly the type where an athlete carries the hopes of an entire country, has historically crushed many young prodigies before they could reach their prime. The crushing weight of expectation from a nation hungry for international sporting glory is a massive burden for any young shoulders to carry. However, Pegula explicitly praised the grace and maturity with which Eala navigates this intense pressure cooker. She described Eala as possessing a very level head, characterizing her as someone who is deeply grateful for the love she receives rather than acting overwhelmed or entitled by the attention. Pegula effectively crowned her the ideal role model, recognizing Eala's critical position in inspiring the next generation of young Filipino girls to pick up a racket and chase their own dreams, even mentioning her desire to host Eala as a guest on her podcast soon. Pegula is actively working to bridge the divide between the established American tennis hierarchy and the surging wave of Asian talent. She is genuinely interested in understanding the psychology behind Eala's success. She wants to know how a young woman manages the brutal daily grind of professional tennis while simultaneously handling the chaotic, beautiful reality of being a national icon. This relationship also highlights the evolving economic and marketing frontiers within the WTA, as Alexandra Eala represents an incredibly lucrative and passionate market segment. The Philippines, along with the broader Southeast Asian region, represents a massive consumer base that mainstream tennis broadcasting has historically overlooked. Eala's proven ability to sell out arenas command prime-time television viewership in her home country and generate massive social media traffic makes her one of the most valuable commercial assets in the sport right now. Jessica Pegula, who is incredibly business-savvy in her own right, clearly identifies this potential. When a top-5 player and reigning champion goes out of her way to validate the commercial and cultural worth of a younger player's fanbase, it serves as a major stamp of legitimacy. It sends a clear signal to tournament directors, corporate sponsors, and global broadcasters that the business of Alexandra Eala is booming, and it is a net positive for the entire ecosystem of women's tennis. Furthermore, Eala's tactical development since that fateful match in Miami has been undeniable to anyone watching. Although she suffered a tough loss to Coco Gauff in the Dubai quarterfinals, the fact that she is consistently making deep runs at WTA 1000 events proves her baseline game is stabilizing at an elite level. She is mastering the art of managing the grueling international travel schedule, the Cross P2, physical toll of competing week after week against top 50 opposition, and the strategic pivots necessary when veteran players begin scouting her left-handed play patterns. Her rapid ascent into the elite top 30 rankings is absolutely no fluke. It is a calculated takeover. This breakthrough is the direct consequence of grueling hours on the practice court, world-class strategic coaching, and a competitive psyche that refuses to crack under pressure. Jessica Pegula's admiration for Alexandra Eala isn't simply a reaction to the deafening roar of the fans in the stands. It is grounded in the brutal truth that the young star is a nightmare opponent who fights for every single ball. As we conclude our comprehensive breakdown of one of the most riveting plotlines to explode onto the scene during this 2026 WTA campaign, It is vital that we analyze exactly how this viral phenomenon is going to reshape the landscape of women's tennis. We are currently watching a spectacular collision of two radically different career trajectories unfolding right before our eyes. On one side of the net stands Jessica Pegula, the definition of resilience, who spent years battling through the challenger circuits to carve out her spot. She is finally enjoying the spoils of that grind, capturing prestigious hardware like the Dubai title after paying her dues in the lower tiers for over a decade. Conversely, we look at the other side of the coin with Alexandra Eala, the teenage sensation honed at the Rafael Nadal Academy, who exploded into the limelight with a record-breaking run through the juniors and is now successfully converting that raw, high-octane potential into tour-level victories that are shaking up the senior bracket. The reason this story has resonated with millions of viewers worldwide goes beyond just forehands and backhands. It is about the genuine class on display. In an incredibly solitary and ruthless industry where athletes are perpetually at war for ranking spots, massive purses, and their place in history, seeing this level of mutual admiration is rare. It is a breath of fresh air to witness a major winner like Jessica Pegula utilize her victory speech and global platform to elevate a rising challenger. Pegula was under no obligation to acknowledge the electric atmosphere Eala's fanbase created during the match. She did not have to go out of her way to laud the teenager's composure and maturity on such a big stage. She could have easily made the moment entirely about her own grit in overcoming a tough opponent like Alina Svitolina to secure the trophy. Yet, her choice to uplift the Filipina talent proves exactly why she is considered a locker room leader and a beacon of grace on the tour. Pegula clearly understands the bigger picture, that the longevity and financial health of the WTA depend on the rise of magnetic box office attractions like Alexandra Eala, who can put butts in seats. For Alexandra Eala, receiving such high praise from a sitting WTA 1000 champion is the ultimate seal of approval and a massive confidence booster. It signals that her influence has officially outgrown the label of being merely a national hero for her home country. She has officially arrived as a bona fide international tennis phenomenon, respected and feared by the very best giants of the game. As the tour packs up and leaves the Middle East to tackle the punishing red clay and the slick grass courts of Europe, in the coming months, Eala carries more than just a heavier points total. She departs with the unshakable certainty that she belongs on center court at the majors. The distance between her current standing and the coveted top 10 is shrinking, rapidly fueled by improvements in her physical engine and match IQ. Furthermore, we can guarantee that her traveling army of supporters will mobilize following her from Paris to New York and back to the Asian swing without hesitation. The true examination for her now lies in how she manages these sky-high expectations and continues to transmute that pressure into the explosive shot-making we know she possesses. This viral exchange between Pegula and Eala encapsulates the very essence of why we are so addicted to sports. While we tune in for the sheer athletic brilliance, we stay for the human drama, the generational torch passing, and the cultural touchstones that mean more than just the final score. Jessica Pegula exits Dubai with the silverware in hand, reasserting her dominance as a hardcourt titan who is nowhere near done winning. Alexandra Eala walks away with her dignity intact, a fresh career best ranking, and the unconditional love of a nation that hangs on every strike of her racket. The possibility of these two sitting down for a candid podcast conversation about the tour's insanity is something every enthusiast should be demanding. It would be a fascinating meeting of the minds, the seasoned veteran who has solved the puzzle versus the rising superstar drafting a new blueprint for global stardom. Thank you for tuning into this comprehensive analysis of the biggest story coming out of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. We have dissected the history, the on-court tactics, the psychological warfare, and the massive cultural impact of this unfolding rivalry. Rest assured, we will keep a close eye on the trajectories of both Jessica Pegula and Alexandra Eala as they charge toward the upcoming Grand Slams.